Hello, everybody, and welcome to the True Love Talk channel. Here we want to learn about human sexuality and love based on the teachings that Pope John Paul II left in the theology of the body. I am Elisa, and today we're having our second video on the series Mulieris Dignitatem, on the dignity of women. And today we're going to analyze the topic of the fifth numeral of this letter, which is entitled "To serve means to reign." Women, as I said in the last video, have been historically denied in every culture of the world their dignity, right? And they were denied their dignity because they became an object for the man to own or to possess. Basically, women became a property, an object for the man. So, to understand how did somebody ended up being a possession of someone else, right? In this case, women being possessed by men. We have to go back and compare the actual situation that we're living in to what the idea or the plan that God had in the beginning, right? So let's go to the logic of the original innocence, that innocence that we had before the fall and before the sin. And in this original innocence, basically ethics depended on ontology. We understood that. Ethics, remember, is the science of living well, of good, right? And ontology is the science of the being, of how things are, and it explains why things are how they are. Why do we need to know how things are to make them good? Because I can only choose what's best for something if I know what that something is, right? Only when I know what kind of engine does a car have can I give it the best fuel possible, right? The engine of a Lamborghini usually would not take diesel fuel, right? I need petrol or gasoline for it. So if I give it diesel, I will break it down and I will, yes, ruin the car basically. So the only way of keeping the car good, of giving it the best life possible, is if I know and understand what kind of car I have in my hands, right? So at the beginning, we understood that. Also, at the beginning, was the first time when God made that first covenant with us. And this covenant is the covenant that happened right after our creation, right? God created men as men and women, and as soon as he does that, he tells them, so be fruitful and multiply and dominate earth, right? So what does this dominion of earth meant? It meant that he had given us enough intelligence for us to understand what was his plan for earth and for nature, for creation in general, by understanding creation itself, right? So we would understand the thing and then make it the best version of itself, the best way possible, the best it could be, right? We would give it its best existence. And here, this dominion meant that God had left out lots of things in potency, and we would make that potency go into the act, however we saw fit, and however we thought it would be better for the thing and for God's plan at the end of the day. And that included ourselves. We had to understand ourselves to give us our best life possible and therefore fulfill God's plan for us. In this logic, when what you want is what's best for the thing, right? And you're trying to analyze what's the nature of the thing to give it the best or to develop it best. In this logic, to dominate means to serve, because I become the master of the thing because I work for the thing. Remember that the person was planned as a gift for others, for the world, for creation itself and God himself, okay? For everything. We were supposed to be gifts. And the idea was to give our work and our effort to creation so that we could say creation is mine, but not because I acquired it, not right, not because I bought it, but because I developed it. In this creation, there is my work, there is part of my time, of my effort, my intelligence, my creativity, and so this is mine. I served the creation, and so it became mine. In that order of ideas, when women were created, the dignity of men was entrusted onto women, and the dignity of women was entrusted onto men. So we were supposed to be gifts for the other. We were supposed to work together so that we would give each other our best life possible and create the best versions of ourselves. However, we commit the original sin, which is becoming the owners or the masters of good and evil. And that means that things are good if we want them to be good, and things are bad if we don't want them, right? Or we don't like it, or we don't feel like we want it to be like the way it is, right? And so we become the center of the universe. We become the measure of all things. And in this case, to dominate means to own. So I don't have to serve the thing that I own to give it its best life possible. That thing that I own has to give me everything so I get what's best. And if the thing is destroyed on the way, it doesn't matter. Why? Because I am the owner and I am the only one who matters, right? That means that when women gave themselves to men, men decided that, hey, she's mine, I own her. And so women became sort of slaves, right? And the man wasn't thinking of what's best for her, right? How do I give her her best life possible? How is she like me, right? How can I serve her? But it became the other way around, right? How does she serve me? How does she do what's best for me? I don't have to do what's best for her, right? And so this inequality and this dominion started amongst men and women being the dominees while men being the dominators. And becoming the center of the universe and the measure of all things meant that we changed ethics from it being dependent on ontology to it being dependent on tradition, because that's what the Greek word ethics means. It means tradition. So what's good is what everybody else does. So basically what's good is created democratically by how everybody works and how everybody lives. That's basically it. So why? Because we decided it. We don't have to check if this indeed is what's best for the thing. Everybody does it. We men have decided, we have reached an agreement, so it is. So if we want to understand, to truly understand the dignity of women, we have to go back to the logic of the original innocence. That logic in which the person, the human being, was a gift for the other, right? The man was a gift for the woman, and the woman was a gift for the man, which means that only by serving were we doing what we were supposed to do, where only by serving could we dominate, right? And we could give everything. And this is the logic, actually, that Christ himself tries to establish from the moment he reaches earth, right? From the moment he starts his public life. At that moment, he says, the Son of Man, which is how he called himself, is not here to be served by, but to serve. Why did he want to serve? Because he wanted what was best for us, right? He wanted to give us everything. Why? Because he understands that this is the true logic that is going to fulfill God's plan. But that means fulfilling God's plan means things being as well as possible, right? That is the logic of love. I want to give you what's best, so that means that I am going to serve you so you can actually move forward. And because we are created for love, in the image of the God who is love, this is what we need to do to be human. First of all, to give others, to give our loved ones their best life possible, but also to give it to ourselves. Because the moment we stop loving, we stop being human, and we become these monsters that we see nowadays. And this is the essence of violence. This is how we become abusers and users, right? So to give back the dignity to women, we have to break with the logic of sin, right? This logic of history of dominating means owning. And we have to go to the logic of dominating means serving. It means giving oneself to the other person. And to remember that as human beings, we are gifts for the other. Okay? So, with that in mind, we will see our next video. I'm very glad that you decided to stay until the end of the video. If you have any question or any comment, please leave it in the comment section below, and I will try to answer it as soon as possible. And I'm very glad that you're here. Have a nice day. Lots of blessings for everybody. See you in the next video. Bye.